Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy, the Kryptonian, saying here, bringing you a review for One Piece chapter 368. And let me tell you something, people. Let me tell you something. Goddamn, I'm loving this whole thing with Usopp, him being from Sniper Island. And he's just standing there, right? And Usopp, he just has this superhero theme song going on in his head. And he's like, you can tell, like, he's got the actual music because he's got the lyrics. And this was so hilarious to read, man. Like, again, this is one of the reasons why I like Usopp. I know, some people don't like him. This is why I like the dude, because he just brings that humor to the chapter, like when you least expect it, but when it's needed the most, you can count on Usopp for a good gag, man. So that was pretty cool, and I like how when Usopp, after he comes up with his origin story in his head, Sanji basically ignores the dude. He tells Frankie, we just need to be considerate of this dude's feelings, right? And right after he says this, that's when Usopp's like, hey, you've never met me before. Don't you want to know where I'm from? Don't you want to know where Sniper Island is? And Sanji basically ignores his ass. Like, that was hilarious, man. That's one of those things I can see myself doing. Where I tell somebody, hey, it's probably a good idea if you do this, and I turn around and just do the opposite. And then they say, well, why'd you do that? It's like, because I'm fucking me. That's why I did it, damn it. So I like Sanji for that part, man. And the plan that he comes up with is pretty damn genius, man. Like, I gotta admit, I didn't think of this, and this is one of those times where I'm kind of kicking myself because I was just thinking they're gonna run a gauntlet, go through and kick everybody's ass. And yet, when you think about it, this is one of those things you could see Sanji doing. Sanji, for the most part, is pretty strategic. So that was cool, the fact that they trick 50%, or not 50%, about 50 of the fighters, right? The Navy people, they trick them into going to the back end of the car, and that's when Captain T-Bone shows up. He's like, all right, move out my way. He's got his sword. He slashes through the damn thing because Sanji and Frankie and Usopp, they're all standing there, right? And at one point, Frankie's even saying, you're pretty lousy with the hammer. And this is where, like, the little creeping feeling kind of comes in. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, right? I don't know what they're planning on doing with Frankie, but... And I could be wrong, because I did think that Luffy was going to pick up his Carpenter during the, the Foxy Davy backfight, right? I thought he might have found this guy on that ship and ended up being totally wrong. So I could be wrong on this. I did think there was a possibility that, like, Rob Lucci or somebody from that crew would get picked up, but the thing that Iceberg said has been kind of hammering away at me for a while now, which is Iceberg told Luffy, if you can find somebody who's a carpenter who will join your crew, I'll let them leave the island with you. And the reason why I'm saying that is you have Frankie looking at Usopp, who basically has made all the repairs to his ship at this point, and saying you got lousy craftsmanship, right? And that was like the first red flag there. And because of where Frankie's been positioned up until this point, I've never really considered the idea of Frankie kind of joining the crew. But if you look at it, he's got a lot of qualifications. I mean, he's very fucking skilled. He said that he wanted to build a ship that could go all the way across the Grand Line, okay? Just like his teacher, Tom, I believe. And also, when you look at that, if he does build a ship, which more than likely he will, because the Mary is done, okay? The Mary, the Mary got put out the pasture. So if he does build a ship, I don't think he's going to give them that ship. And then you got a guy like Usopp making the repairs. So that's like another thing kind of building the case for Tom. And another thing on this is I mean, he's already kind of, clashed with Luffy. And for the most part, everybody who's joined Luffy's crew, there's been a little friction beforehand. Like with Zoro didn't want to join the crew. He was a pirate hunter, ended up joining. Nami and Luffy had like a little thing where Nami was kind of betraying Luffy, and she was mainly after her gold. Same thing with Usopp when they get to Syrup Village. There was a little friction there with Usopp. He's telling the tall tales. He's a captain. I mean, you had like a little stuff there, and then same thing with Chopper. Luffy's chasing Chopper around. Chopper's giving him a lot of pushback. Everybody who's joined the crew, there's been some friction beforehand. And if you look at the pattern Oda's been taking, as Luffy's been adding members to the crew, the dynamics beforehand have gotten more and more complex, and Oda's gotten better at misdirection. I mean, after all, how many of us saw Nico Robin joining Luffy's crew? I mean, she was kind of mysterious and everything, but at the same time, how many of us saw that coming? Okay, because I'll admit, like I said, that kind of threw me for a loop, and yet when it happened, it made sense. And ever since that's happened, I've just been kind of looking at that and just thinking about how Oda has gotten better at misdirection. That's why for the last few reviews, you've been hearing me say, you know, misdirection, 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 because that's when it's hit. That's when it's hit me. Like, okay, Oda, I know Oda plants seeds for stuff way before it actually happens. It's like he literally just plants the seed and waters that damn thing for 3 or 4 years, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, where did this plant come from? Or oh shit, where did this plot point come from? And then you think about it and it's like, wow, he planted the seeds all the way back here. And so I say that to say Oda, as he's gotten into the manga and gotten better with the writing, his usage of character development and misdirection has gotten really, really good. And so he's gotten better when it comes to the plot twist. The plot twists feel more earned. And for my last bit for why I think Frankie might be the person who joins, he could be very useful to somebody like Sanji, okay? I know I got a little off track here, so just bear with me, okay? But the reason why it could be useful to Sanji is how many times have these guys gone out somewhere and they needed water or they needed food or whatever, and you've got Frankie here who has a stomach that is very convenient. It's a fridge. He can keep drinks in there, but he can also keep water. So now you have water in there. He can also keep food. You know, Luffy needs his meat whenever he gets his ass kicked. I mean, very convenient. Sanji could basically cook up meals and shit, stick it in there, stick some water in there, and they'd be good, okay? So that's why I'm looking at that, and I'm saying very fucking convenient. Like, he meets all the qualifications. I'm going to be very fucking disappointed if it turns out that Frankie just builds him the ship and kind of goes on. And you look at this, he's already won it. So right there, Luffy would be adding another wanted criminal to his team. So I mean, it just seems like this is what's happening. So back into the chapter. Thank you for staying with me through that little mini rant slash theory. I guess that wouldn't be a rant, but you know, thank you for sticking through to that. So what I did like was the fact that after they get to the other side of the cars, they run across 2 cars really quickly, they sever the damn links, okay? And that's when all the Navy guys are banging up against the door, let me out of here, let me out of here. And then once they finally get through, it's like, oh shit, they cut the link. And when that happened, I was like, Sanji is that dude, okay? Like I've said for the longest, whenever Sanji shows up or when Sanji's in the chapter just moves forward. He's always getting shit done, okay? Like Sanji, I'm going to go ahead and make the comparison. I don't think I've made it yet. I feel like I've made a Mamoru Uchiha comparison earlier, but I don't remember who it was. But Sanji's just like Mamoru Uchiha, okay? Like in Naruto, Mamoru just had this big bag of epic shit. He always just kind of pulled some shit out. Like, oh shit, okay. Susanoo can split through a mountain range by unleashing its sheath, okay. Bam! 5 Susanos for a Kage. 20 Susanoo or 25 Susanoo. Like, shit like that, okay? Like, dude was just fucking axe and just getting shit done, okay? Like, every time he was in a chapter, it was the most exciting times when you were reading Naruto when it was coming out. Like, we were like, fuck this Obito guy. We want Madara. And it's the same thing with Sanji. With me reading these chapters, I get really excited when I see Sanji on his own, because when he's on his own, he's always getting shit done. Okay, he's not my favorite character, but I like him for that reason. Him and Nico Robin, they kind of have that quality, man. So I like that. I thought that was cool, and I can't wait to see where this is going to be going, okay? Because when they meet this CP7 cook, very disgusting, by the way, like making ramen noodles out his nose and shit. Like, what the fuck is this dude doing? And I'm really interested when he says you gotta beat me through a battle and everything because Sanji's a cook. I'm wondering if it's gonna be like a fucking cook-off or something. And that would be pretty wacky, okay? Like, you know, One Piece, one of the reasons why I like it is, you know, Chiro Oda captures the wacky adventure elements that I really liked in the first 194 chapters of Dragon Ball, like where it was just wacky shit, and you didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen. And this has like the feeling of this. Like they could come into like a straight up fight where like they're fighting with like chopsticks and knives and forks and cheese graters and all that. I mean, I could see that happening. I would personally prefer like a cook-off or some shit. That would be pretty fucking awesome. That would be pretty awesome, and like the guy ends up losing to Sanji, and then they get into a proper fight. That would be pretty awesome, man. Because again, he's CP7, so he's got to be pretty damn strong. So with that being said, I have to transition to what is probably my favorite part because it's just comedy. Now, Nami and like the two sisters from the Frankie family, I guess if Frankie joins, they would have to join too. But Nami and those two cheerleader sister types, they have to change clothes in the cart because there's nothing like they can do. Like there's only one, okay? And you got my man, he's like, oh shit, I can't believe he did that. And he's covering up the nosebleed, okay? And the rest of the guys are like, I don't mind. And you know, the pervert moment, but I gotta say this, I gotta say this. So I gotta point out this. Nami's fucking design's hot, man. Like that clothing get up is fucking hot, okay? Really fucking hot. Like really hot. I like that. I like that. And once again, you know, I say for the longest, like I'm not really impressed with Oda's designs for women, but I will give him this much, okay? When it comes to female outfits, he's right there with Kubo. Kubo made some really, especially on the cover stories, like Kubo's cover stories, he made some really nice outfits, particularly for women. And I'm really wondering at this point, like I know Kubo wanted to be like a fashion designer at one point, and then he ended up going into manga, thank God, but and he could have did it. But I'm wondering if Oda, if he even tinkered around with fashion some, because if you look at like the outfits he has for his characters, they all have very distinct outfits. Some of them are pretty bland, but when he puts his mind to it, they look really good. So I'm really curious about that one. That's interesting. I would like to know something like that about Oda. It might not exist, but I mean, One Piece has been around for what, 20 years now. So at this point, he's probably said something in an interview or somebody's thought to ask him that. But I thought that was cool, and I like how one of the things that we see is Luffy and the others have changed into black pants. You got Luffy, he's trying to shove some meat down in his pants pocket. He's like, they could have at least made it thicker, and they could have made the pants pockets deeper, and Nami's like, stop shoving the meat down there. So that's, again, foreshadowing that this shit is going to get real. And more than likely, Luffy's going to get his ass kicked. I think Luffy knows he's probably going to get his ass kicked, which is why he's keeping the meat. That way he can heal up. Very, very interesting to see where this whole thing is going to transition into next. Though I have to say, we have the pretty funny shot of Nami and Luffy. They got the gloomy expression on their face because, like, this is the last project Usopp ever worked on. I can't believe he's gone. And Zoro's just like, fuck out of here with this shit. And I like how, once again, it's Zoro who is like, okay, Luffy's slipping a little bit. Let me get his ass back on track. And out of all the Straw Hats, this is going to be something that's interesting, okay? And I might be reaching for this. But after the Davy back fight, which again, I feel like that whole arc was meant to bring the Straw Hats closer. And now you have Luffy, Robin's left, Usopp's kind of gone out. And you got Zoro, okay? Zoro is the first person that Luffy approached. He was the first person to openly go against Luffy. If you go back to, I think, chapter 3 when he's asking, I know it's chapter 3, asking Luffy if he'll join the crew. I mean, Luffy asking Zoro if he'll join the crew. And Zoro flat out saying no, being a little standoffish. And Zoro had to go into this whole flashback sequence with Kuina and everything in order to somewhat start coming around. But Zoro's always been that rock for Luffy, and it's very telling, okay? And this might be some shit that comes on later, but it's very telling that what we're seeing with Zoro is the fact that Luffy, after the Usopp thing, he says, hey, if you don't stay firm in your conviction, who are we going to follow? And I know how I am, okay? Like, I know how I am. You know, I had a team leader at one of my old jobs, right? I had a team leader who... Oh, fuck it, I'm just going to do this. I had a team leader who, she wasn't necessarily the best leader. She had a lot of qualities, like Luffy, okay? Luffy's not the best leader. It has qualities though, okay? Like at the end of the day, you fall in line behind them, okay? And I can say the same thing about her. People fell in line, but there was some open resentment. There was some open every now and then somebody like me just come in and be like, I smell blood. And so I'm seeing the same thing here, okay? Like Zoro saw Luffy faltering a little bit, and it wasn't like he's like, I'm gonna be fucking captain. I don't think it was something like Usopp, but I think it's very telling that we have a guy like Usopp who, like I said, isn't necessarily an alpha, but you know, he's like a certain alpha, you know, if you put him in the classes. And I've said every member of the crew could be a captain in their own right, but it's very telling shortly after somebody challenged Luffy's authority as captain, Zoro right after that has to say a teaching moment. You know, be firm in your conviction. Who are we gonna follow? And now here, okay, you know, Luffy gets off track and he's like, oh man, it's Usopp's final thing and yada yada yada. And is Zoro saying stop being gloomy, okay? And again, I might be reaching for that. It's just that I don't think it's a coincidence that you know Zoro, in some type of way or fashion, has kind of stepped sideways towards Luffy and it wouldn't surprise me if we have another dust up. It wouldn't surprise me if there's another dust up. I don't think it'll be relatively soon because that's not Oda's way of doing things. If you look at the Usopp thing, this was 300 chapters. I wouldn't say 300. I'd say like 250 something chapters in the making. So we're at 338 right now. So like another 200 chapters now, like somewhere 600. Somewhere around there, I could see Zoro being the next person who kind of flares up at him. That would be interesting. I'm gonna have my eye on these Zoro Luffy interactions because I don't think it's by coincidence that we're seeing this because this is a similar pattern to Usopp where shortly after Usopp joins the crew, you have little small moments to make you stop and go, does he not know he's talking to his fucking captain? And it's the same thing here. Very, very telling. So overall, very good chapter. Can't wait to see how this Operation Rescue Nico Robin goes on. Can't wait to see who Sanji is fighting. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't Khalifa. And I looked up a scanlation, and it looks like Viz got me before. I think it's Khalifa because of the R's. You know, Viz has it with an L, so I think I've been saying that wrong. But if I'm not mistaken, she has like the kicks and everything. That would be pretty badass to have her and Sanji kind of go at it. So overall, pretty good chapter. My chapter question for you guys is, what did you think about Usopp's origin story? And if you were Usopp, okay, what would your origin story be, okay? What would your origin story be? And also, what would your superhero theme music be, okay? You can pick any song. Doesn't matter, okay? Doesn't matter what the song is. Like, what would your superhero theme music be? You know, if I had to pick for myself, man, I can't think of the origin story right off top, you know, but for me, I could definitely see myself, like anytime I bust onto the scene and all that, you know, I just have, like, Rev Theory's Far From Overplaying, and it's not the lyrics, just the music. Just the music. I really like the Melody Fest. So either Rev Theory or I would have like Breaking Benjamin's Hollow. Again, no lyrics, just the straight music. One of those. I could see one of those is like in different contrast. One's very high energy and the other one is like kind of on the lower mellow side. So that would be very, very, very cool, man. So thank you for watching Kryptonian Saying, guys. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, comment down below. Don't forget to share. Thank you for watching. Have an awesome day.
「